Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire. Nashtapraya Shivabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtiki. So, continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 2, Contents of the Gita Summarized, Text 58 onwards. So, previously Arjuna had asked the question about asking for the symptoms of a self-realized soul. What are his symptoms? How does he talk? How does he sit? How does he walk? So previous 3-4 verses, Krishna explained the symptoms. Now he's going to start explaining how does he sit. Now with the sit, it doesn't mean how exactly he sits. I mean, does he sit in Padmasana or he sits on a chair or how does he sit? No. Actually, what it means is when the senses are not engaged, how does he control? What does he do with the senses? So walking, when he says walk, means how does he engage his senses in different activities. But first Krishna is explaining how does he sit, means whenever he is not using his senses, then what does he do? So text 58. Yada samharate chayam kurmo anganiva sarvasha indriyani indriyarte abhyas tasya pragya pratishtita. One who is able to withdraw his senses from sense objects, as a tortoise draws its limbs within the shell, is firmly fixed in perfect consciousness. So withdraw his senses from sense objects. It's very important. Otherwise, mind will always be dwelling on this sense object, that sense object. But in perfect consciousness, one who is fixed up, he doesn't let his mind just go here and there, everywhere. No. An example is given as a tortoise draws its limbs within the shell. When he's not walking, when he's not doing, he just draws them. He just sits still. That's it. Shell, within the shell. And the shell looks like a rock, actually. He's not doing anything. It becomes like a rock. The test of a yogi or devotee or self-realized soul is that he is able to control the senses according to his plan. Most people, however, are servants of the senses and are thus directed by the dictation of the senses. That is the answer to the question as to how the yogi is situated. The senses are compared to venomous serpents. They want to act very loosely and without restriction. And yes, this is how senses are. The yogi or the devotee must be very strong to control the serpents, like a snake charmer. He never allows them to act independently. This is a symptom of a yogi. Never allows the senses to act independently. But 99.99% of the population is what? Manorathe nasati dhavato bhagi. Means they're just riding on the horse of mind. Mind takes them here, takes them there, cannot sit still even for a moment. Always want to do something. Engage the senses, always. No. Control. We have to control the senses. There are many injunctions in the revealed scriptures. Some of them are do nots and some of them are do's. Unless one is able to follow the do's and do nots, restricting oneself from sense enjoyment, it's not possible to be firmly fixed in Krishna consciousness. That's why even in the process that Prabhupada gave us, and it's all based on scriptures, it did not just give us out of whims. The do is chant at least 16 rounds, read Prabhupada's books, preach, do the service. And don't is no meat eating, no gambling, no illicit sex, no intoxication. That's the don'ts. So if we follow that, instead of listening to our mind, if we follow these principles, we can make progress. And Prabhupada said the best example set herein is a tortoise. The tortoise can at any moment wind up its senses and exhibit them again at any time for particular purposes. Otherwise, he just sits within his shell. Similarly, the senses of the Krishna conscious persons are used only for some particular purpose in the service of the Lord and are withdrawn otherwise. Arjun is being taught here to use his senses for the service of the Lord instead of for his own satisfaction. He was saying that I don't want to fight this war, I want to go away. Means he did not want to use his senses for war, for killing. But that's not how Krishna wanted him to do. Keeping the senses always in the service of the Lord is an example set by the analogy of the tortoise, who keeps the senses with him. So this is a perfect use of the senses. Otherwise, just sit idle, don't use the senses. But it's not possible to sit idle either. Practically, it's not possible because the soul is very active and above the, because we have this material mind, it's not above the soul, but it's below the soul because it's his material body, subtle material body. But many times, or most of the time, because mind is not in control, it takes over. And then we don't know what to do. So this is what Krishna explains in the next verse. Vishya-vinivartante niraharasya dehina rasvarjam rasoapyasya param drishtva nivartate. Though the embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment, the taste for sense objects remains. The taste always remains there, and we want to again engage the senses in the same way. But what Krishna is saying, give it the higher taste. But ceasing such engagements by experiencing a higher taste, he is fixed in consciousness. So to withdraw the senses completely and sit idle, do nothing, not practical, not possible. Because the mind will always be going here and there, and then the other senses will start going with the mind. Suppose I don't have a job, I don't have office today, so I'm sitting at home and I'm done with whatever household chores I had to do, and I'm sitting, then start thinking of the old times. And then, okay, feeling depressed, feeling frustrated. Okay, what to do? I have to do something. Either I will watch movie, watch TV, or just go for shopping or do something. Always want to do something. But Krishna says, engage the senses in give them the higher taste. Means taste is there in shopping or in watching TV or doing whatever. But giving it a higher taste. What is a higher taste? Higher taste is service of Krishna. So if nothing else, we can always sit down, chant, read Prabhupada's books, serve Krishna. Now, everybody has a different way of serving Krishna. Krishna is unlimited, his services are unlimited, his devotees are unlimited. So everybody has a different way of serving him. Some people would just like to cook for him. Some people would like to go and clean up the place, or whatever. Some people would just like to sit down and chant. But since they all these activities are on the absolute level, they are same. They are equally pleasing Krishna. Purport Prabhupada says, unless one is transcendently situated, it's not possible to cease from sense enjoyment. The process of restriction from sense enjoyment by rules and regulations is something like restricting a diseased person from certain types of eatables. Because his mind will always go towards that kind of food which he is restricted from. Just like somebody has jaundice, then he cannot eat something heavy, but his mind will always go because there's a restriction. Mind plays very funny games. The patient, however, neither likes such restrictions nor loses his taste for the eatables. Similarly, sense restriction by some spiritual process like Ashtanga Yoga in the matter of Yam, Niyam, Asan, Pranayam, Pratyahara, Dharan, Dhyan, Samadhi is recommended for less intelligent persons who have no better knowledge. Because it's all mechanical way of restricting the senses. It doesn't work for too long. But one who has tasted the beauty of the Supreme Lord Krishna in the course of his advancement in Krishna consciousness no longer has a taste for dead material things. So this is the right way. If we taste or somehow we have tasted this Krishna consciousness, then automatically it doesn't want to go towards a material taste. The desires could still be there in the heart because the desires are there for many, many, many lifetimes. But this is the process to give ourselves a higher taste. Maybe in the beginning we will not even taste it. It might not feel very, very sweet. Chanting and reading and this and that, it will not feel sweet. But if we keep on engaging in that, then slowly, slowly, slowly the taste will develop because the taste is there originally. Soul is originally Krishna conscious. Every soul, whether in the body of human beings or Hindus only, or animals or birds, every soul is the same. It's transcendental, it's divine. And it has the same, not same, but it has a relationship with Krishna. Different mellows it could be, but it has its relationship with Krishna. So what this Krishna consciousness, so Bhakti part does, it's trying to revive the same taste. And when we start tasting that, we don't have to advertise to anybody, but when we start tasting the relationship, the service of Krishna, then mind, we ourselves, mind, first the mind goes and then the knowledge acquiring senses and the working senses go towards the sense object, then it will not go. Although the desires are there inside our heart. Desires are there. Millions and millions of unfulfilled or partially fulfilled desires from so many lifetimes. They are there. But that is why the restrictions are there, and that is why giving them the higher taste, giving the mind, giving the senses higher taste, that helps. Therefore, restrictions are there for the less intelligent neophytes in the spiritual advancement of life. But such restrictions are only good until one actually has a taste for Krishna consciousness. When one is actually Krishna conscious, he automatically loses his taste for pale, material things. And Prabhupada used the word pale. Pale means it has no taste. It doesn't look good and has no taste, doesn't smell good. So what's the point in trying to get some pleasure out of these things. And another place like Prahlad Maharaj says in Bhagavatam, our senses, of course, these examples we should keep in mind. Our senses going after sense objects and trying to taste those senses and trying to get some pleasure out of those is compared to is like chewing the chewed. Chewing the chewed. Just like in India, we get this sugarcane juice, and this person, he puts a sugarcane through that machine and gets some juice out of it. And he bundles them together, again puts them through the machine, and whatever few drops are left, they come out of that. Few drops of juice. And then he throws away whatever is refuge, whatever is left. But if somebody picks up that refuse and he starts to chew, thinking, I will get some taste, some drop of sugarcane juice out of it, he might get maybe a drop or so. But what's the point? And this is what chewing the chewed is. Same senses, same sense objects, same desire to enjoy those senses. How long we can go on? But Maya, this is where Maya comes in. Maya makes us think, oh, you're gonna enjoy now. This is so cool. This is how the life goes on. Work, first go to school, study hard, then go to college, study hard, get a job or open a business, work hard in the job or the business and get some money, get married, raise children, same thing. Get them married, they raise their children, then we get old, we get disease, we die. Same thing going on, every life cycle. Exactly the same thing. And we think we are enjoying. Where is the enjoyment? But this has become the parameters these days. Okay, if I have lots of money, there is no quantification of how much money is lots of money. Everybody has different yardstick of measuring how much is lots of money. And a big house, even that is different, varies from person to person. And if I have a nice car, and then I'll be happy. Am I happy after getting all this? So some problems will always be there, and then we are expecting the house or the car or the family or the husband or wife or the relatives or the neighbors will give me pleasure. Not going to happen, because this is not how Krishna has designed the material world. He said, Dukhalyam Shashvata. It's a place of misery. We are trying to find happiness, which is designed in a place which is designed to give us misery. So chewing the chewed. Again and again, same things we are doing. And we are thinking we're going to find happiness now. Not going to happen. So where is the real happiness? Real happiness is in service of Krishna. Because this is the original, constitutional, spiritual, transcendental position of the soul, according to the scriptures. If somebody has money and he goes to the club with his friends and he's laughing and he's joking around, or they are so-called enjoyment, yeah, doesn't mean he's internally happy. Happiness is a different thing. Laughing is different. And everybody, it's for sure, everybody in the world is has some suffering or the other, some problems or the other. But where the real happiness is, actually people don't know, so they don't go for it. They don't understand. But this is where preachers come in. This is why we have to go out and preach. We have to tell people, why are you wasting your life? This. Go for the real happiness, eternal, permanent, ever increasing happiness. That is our goal. And this material world, every morning we sing this bhajan. Opening line is Sansara Dawa. This material world is like a forest fire. Forest fire. Nobody survives a forest fire. And nobody can put it out either. Not by our sprinkling water on it or fire extinguisher on it. Forest fire is too huge. Huge forest fire. So how to put it out? If the rain comes. And what is the rain? Guru is bringing the mercy of Krishna in the form of the rain to put out this forest fire of miserable material existence. And in the forest fire, if somebody says, or everybody is looking for happiness, because the soul is always looking for happiness. And if we think that, oh, I got this, I am happy now. Either it's very little happiness and it's not going to last too long. That's all it is. But out of ignorance, we think this is life. This is a standard and that's it. No, this is a higher standard. And this is what Krishna says, give them a higher taste. Higher taste. Higher taste is of spiritual happiness. And this is what we should be striving for. And once somebody gets this taste, he doesn't want to go for anything else. It's not worth it. And then Krishna further says, Yatato hi api kaunteya purushasya vipaschita indriyani pramathini haranti prasabam mana. The senses. Now, how the senses work? The senses are so strong and impetuous, Arjuna, that they forcibly carry away the mind, even of a man of discrimination who's endeavoring to control them. Wow. This is how strong the senses are. They can carry away, forcibly carry away the mind of a man of discrimination who's endeavoring to control them. So controlling the senses is one thing, engaging the senses in Krishna's service is another. But this control is very, very difficult. There are many learned sages, philosophers, and transcendentalists who try to conquer the senses. But in spite of their endeavors, even the greatest of them sometimes fall victim to material sense enjoyment due to the agitated mind. So senses on their own are nothing. It's a mind which controls them. So the example is given, if the body is like a chariot, the senses are the horses. Soul is a passenger. Intelligence is a driver. But the reins or the lagam, that is the mind. So if intelligence is not strong, then the lagam, the reins will be loose, and the senses, the horses will go wherever they want to go. So control of the mind is very, very important. but senses, they forcibly carry away the mind even of a man of discrimination. And Prabhupada gives the example of Vishwamitra Muni. Even Vishwamitra, a great sage and perfect yogi, was misled by Menaka into sex enjoyment. Although the yogi was endeavoring for sense control and with severe types of penance and yoga practice. So whenever somebody does this yoga practice or tries to make some spiritual advancement, so Maya has to test. So here in this case, Indra got afraid that Vishwamitra, after doing his penances, he will be so powerful he can take over my Singhasan. So he just wanted to disrupt his tapasya. So he sent Menka. And Vishwamitra Muni was just sitting down and with eyes closed, meditating on Brahmjyoti or whatever he was meditating on. And Menaka passed by just listening to the tinkling of ankle bells. He didn't even look at Menaka in the beginning. Just hearing of the tinkling of ankle bells of Menaka, his samadhi broke. So this is how powerful. First the hearing senses, and then the mind goes there. Okay, who's that lady who's walking around with the tinkling of the ankle bells tinkling? She must be very beautiful. And then he opened his eyes. And of course, Menaka is from heaven. She's Apsara from heaven. Very, very beautiful. And that's all. And Vishwamitra Muni had sex engagement with her. Compared to Srimati Radharani's beauty, it is said that the gopis, although they're the village girls, simple village girls, the beauty of the gopis even defeat the beauty of Lakshmi and all the ladies of Vaikuntha planets. And beauty of Lakshmi, which is in the spiritual planet, definitely none of these heavenly ladies, they can compare to the beauty of Lakshmi. And among all the gopis, among all of them, trillions and trillions of gopis, Srimati Radharani is the most beautiful. So comparing to the beauty of Radharani with Menaka, Apsaras of heaven, it's nothing. They are nothing in front of Radharani. And Vishwamitra Muni got enchanted by just the beauty of Menaka. She must be very beautiful. I'm not saying they're not beautiful, but not in front of Radharani. So in the process of bhakti, on the path of bhakti, if we have Radha and Krishna in front of us, the most beautiful, most attractive, most enchanting and captivating couple in front of us, mind will still play games if it's not in the advanced stages, but there's no other beauty that we can even think of, and that can enchant us. But here, Vishwamitra Muni, he was a yogi, so he did not have his mind and the senses looking at the beauty of Radharani and Krishna. So he lost his control. Although the yogi was endeavoring for sense control with severe types of penance and yoga practice. And of course, there are so many similar instances in the history of the world. Therefore, it's very difficult to control the mind and senses without being fully Krishna conscious. Without engaging the mind in Krishna, one cannot cease such material engagements. A practical example is given by Sri Yamunacharya, a great saint and a devotee. The Yamunacharya was a king before. And as a king, he had queens and he was always engaged in different activities as a king and was also being satisfied with the queens. But when he became a saint, a devotee, he said, Yadavadi mama cheta Krishna padaravinde navanavaras dhamani udyatam rantum asit. Since my mind has been engaged in the service of the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, and I've been enjoying an ever new transcendental humor or transcendental rasa, whenever I think of sex life with the women, my face at once turns from it and spit at the thought. So this is how a person, a devotee is when he's absorbed, completely absorbed in service of Krishna and tasting, getting the taste out of service. Then the mind will not go here and there. Test will always be there. Test will always be there. Just like Haridas Thakur. Haridas Thakur used to chant 3 lakh names every day. It's 192 rounds every day. And Maya Devi wanted to test him. So Maya Devi took the form of a beautiful lady. And we only read about Menaka. Menaka is just one small fragment of Maya. And when Maya Devi herself wants to entice somebody, how beautiful that lady must be. So that form she took. And she went to the cave of Haridas Thakur. Haridas Thakur would just sit in a cave and chant. So Haridas Thakur welcomed her. Okay, you have come. Please tell me, how can I serve you? So she told him her innermost desire, that I want to have relationship with you. Haridas Thakur, he said, well, very well, yes, I will fulfill your desires, but my problem is if I don't complete my quota of chanting these many rounds, I don't do anything until I complete my quota. So why don't you just sit here and let me complete my quota of chanting? And she said, okay. Even Maya Devi got bewildered because Haridas Thakur, he was on a spiritual platform. And so Yogamaya can even bewilder Mahamaya. So Maya Devi, that lady, sat down. And Haridas Thakur just kept on chanting whole night, and I'm sure he chanted more than 192 rounds that day, and that day and night. So whole night he kept on chanting. So early morning he said, I'm sorry, Devi, I could not fulfill your desire. I had to complete my rounds. So you come back tonight and I'll try to fulfill your desires. So again, she came back next night. Again, Haridas Thakur said, well, I have completed my round, so I have to chant. So why don't you sit down and as soon as I finish my rounds, I'll fulfill your desire. So 3 nights, it went on like this. And then after 3rd night, in the morning, Maya Devi fell down at the lotus feet of Haridas Thakur and begged for forgiveness. And she said, I'm Maya, I had come to test you. Haridas Thakur said, I knew who you were. I just wanted to let you taste the holy name of the Lord. So Maya, that lady, then fell down and she said, you please initiate me into this chanting of the holy names. And then Haridas Thakur blessed her with this holy name. So the point is that devotee, of course, of the caliber of Haridas Thakur, they can even initiate Maya Devi into chanting of the holy names. We get distracted because we are so much in the beginning stages. We get distracted. And the desires that are in the heart, they come out. They come out strongly, in fact, when we are engaging in devotion service. So, but if we still remain strong and keep on chanting, keep on doing other activities of devotional service, then Krishna is there to help. Krishna's devotees are there to help. Prabhupada is always there to help a person. But that part nobody can do, that we have to give ourselves this taste. We have to engage ourselves, engage our senses and the mind in the service of Krishna. That nobody else can do for us. We have to do. They can give us a mercy so we can make progress. That's all. Krishna consciousness is such a transcendently nice thing that automatically material enjoyment becomes distaste. It is as if a hungry man had satisfied his hunger by a sufficient quantity of nutritious eatables. Maharaj Ambarish also conquered a great yogi, Durvasa Muni, simply because his mind was engaged in Krishna consciousness. So the bhakti yoga process is very, very powerful, and it just can help us completely control our mind and the senses by using our senses in the service of Krishna. Text 60. Tani sarvani samyamya yukta asita matparaha pashehi yasyendriyani tasya pragya pratishtita. One who restrains his senses, keeping them under full control and fixes his consciousness upon me, is known as a man of steady intelligence. So restrains his senses, keeping them under full control. So it's only possible if one is a devotee. Otherwise, senses are so difficult to control. That the highest conception of yoga perfection is Krishna consciousness is clearly explained in this verse. And unless one is Krishna conscious, it's not at all possible to control the senses. As cited above, the great sage Durvasa Muni picked a quarrel with Maharaj Ambarish, and Durvasa Muni unnecessarily became angry out of pride and therefore could not check his senses. On the other hand, the king, although not as powerful a yogi as a sage, but a devotee of the Lord, silently tolerated all the sage's injustices and thereby emerged victorious. The king was able to control his senses because of the following qualifications. So how the king controlled his senses? King Ambarish fixed his mind on the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, engaging his words in describing the abode of the Lord, his hands in cleansing the temple of the Lord, his ears in hearing the pastimes of the Lord, his eyes in seeing the form of the Lord, his body in touching the body of the devotee, means serving the devotees, maybe massaging them or in other ways serving them. His nostrils in smelling the fragrance of the flowers offered to the lotus feet of the Lord, his tongue in tasting the tulsi leaves offered to him, his legs in traveling to the holy place where his temple is situated, his head in offering obeisances unto the Lord, and his desires in fulfilling the desires of the Lord. All these qualifications made him fit to become a Matpara devotee of the Lord. Matpara means completely surrendered, completely fixed in his consciousness on the Lord. How? By engaging all our senses in the service of the Lord. Slowly, 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 the mind will also come in the service. In the beginning, mind is not there, yes. And that is why Many times when people see devotees chanting on the beach, they cite these words of Kabir Das ji, man ka fair ke man ka hai, something like that. They say, what's the point in you just chanting like this? Your mind is going everywhere. Yes, mind is going everywhere. But at least we are trying to chant, trying to bring the mind back to the service of the Lord. What other way is there to control the mind? Those who want to criticize, they'll criticize for everything. But it's not that once our mind is controlled, then I'll come and do the service or chant His holy name. Well, how is the mind going to get controlled? What are the options? There are no options. So they say, oh, you are all donkeys and you're just making a show of chanting. No, we are trying, we are struggling, but at least we are chanting. People who don't engage themselves in the service, chanting or other practices, they're not even admitting that they have failed. At least we are admitting, yes, we have failed, but we are struggling. But this is a process. That's it. The word matpara is most significant in this connection. How one can become matpara is described in the life of Maharaj Ambarish. Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan, a great scholar and acharya in the line of matpara, remarks, Mat bhakti prabhavena sarvendriya vijay purvika swatma drishti sulabheti bhava. The senses can be completely controlled only by the strength of devotional service to Krishna. So there is no other way to control the senses. Also, the example of fire is sometimes given. As a blazing fire burns everything within a room, Lord Vishnu, situated in the heart of the yogi, burns up all kinds of impurities. The Yoga Sutra also prescribes meditation on Vishnu and not on meditation on the void. The so-called yogis also meditate on something other than the Vishnu form, simply waste their time in a vain search after some phantasmagoria. Phantasmagoria means flower in the sky, which doesn't exist. So here Prabhupada gives the example, as a blazing fire burns everything within a room, Lord Vishnu, situated in the heart of the devotee, burns up all kinds of impurities. All kinds of impurities means all kinds of unwanted material desires. They get burnt up if Vishnu is there. So by chanting, we are inviting Lord Vishnu. We're trying to focus on Krishna, Vishnu, so that he comes and sits in our heart. Another example given that just like if there is a cave in the forest, and in the cave some small animals are always living, maybe fox and maybe some other animals, rabbits or hyenas or something. But as soon as the lion enters that cave, all these animals, they just run away. If the birds are there, they also fly away. They just run away because lion has come. So similarly, if the lion of holy names of the Lord, which is not different from, when we are chanting, yes, in the beginning stages, we might not feel any cleansing is taking place, but chanting is very, very powerful. And when we chant, holy name enters through our ears, it enters into the heart. And when the holy name enters, means Krishna has entered, all these unwanted desires, they just leave the heart, they run away, never to come back. Only thing is, we just have to regularly keep on chanting, and our purpose is not just to remove this material desire. Our purpose is to fill up the heart with the spiritual desires to serve Krishna. That is the process. So in fact, we can also, when we are chanting, we can visualize in our mind, we can visualize that the holy name is entering our heart, and our heart is as black, as dark as a coal because of all these tons and tons of material desires from so many lives. They're sitting there. Some are deep rooted, some are just superficial. But we can visualize that the holy name is entering the heart, and the heart is getting cleansed, and all these desires are just running away, getting out, getting extinguished and getting extracted from our heart and just expelled. And it happens. It does happen like that. So this is what Prabhupada says. We have to be Krishna conscious, devoted to the personality of Godhead. This is the aim of real yoga. There's no other aim. So I guess I can stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments?
थैंक यू प्रभु जी। वैसे चैंटिंग करने से फर्क तो पड़ता है प्रभु जी?
हाँ बिल्कुल पड़ता है।
100% पड़ता है। बहुत शांति और फिजूल की सारी इधर उधर सब खत्म हो जाता है। लेकिन मतलब मेरे को तो एक्सपीरियंस हुआ है इतने सालों में।
प्रोसेस तो यही है, प्रोसेस तो यही है। ठीक है, तो विल स्टॉप हियर। यू ऑल हैव अ सेफ एंड वंडरफुल डे। हरे कृष्ण। जय श्री प्रभुपाद।